Hey guys, and welcome back to where we're just picking up from where I left off last time, from the last video where I mentioned that I wanted to briefly discuss how I got out of debt. Just again, everybody's financial journey is going to be different. For some people, it's saving, for some people, it's investment, for some people, it's getting out of debt. So a few years ago, I was heavily in debt, and my debt consisted of my student loan and a stupid decision where from my first job, where I got right after I graduated, I was making a salary of 40,000 a year and thought to celebrate I should buy a car. Stupid idea. If I could go back, I would tell myself, just take the bus, stay in your financial lane. You don't need a brand new car that's costing you 23,000 when you're only making 40,000 a year. Combine, including my credit card debt of maybe 2,500 to 3,000, I ended up with a debt of between 50,000 to 51,000 Canadian dollars. Very, 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 very stupid idea. Thankfully, a family member had been talking about Dave Ramsey, his method of the snowball effect, and what that is essentially. I think now the people are now calling it the baby steps, where it goes from step 1 to step 7. So step 1 is put about $1,000 into savings, and that it's going to be your emergency Kickstarter fund. And then you need to list all of your debts from the smallest debt to the largest debt, and you are going to heavily attack your smallest debt while you're paying minimum payments to your other larger debts. And you continue that snowball effect until you roll all your debts out of the way by paying them eventually all off. When you finish your smallest debt, you move to your medium debt, and then you work the same step where you're just paying off as much as you can to that debt while maintaining a minimum payment to your larger debt, and then you just continue that way. So I know for a fact that when I had my student loan, I'd already accumulated interest, and the interest is daily on these student loans. It's not monthly, it's daily. The same thing with CRA, Canadian revenue. If you owe taxes to Canada revenue, the interest is daily. So you have to figure out either calling them and making a plan to a specific amount that you'll be paying, and that's what I ended up doing. I honestly remember just begging on the phone if they could waiver the accumulated interest that my account balance already had, and moving forward, of course, they couldn't waiver any future interest, but that's something that it was just a huge favor that they did for me. And being consistent meant that I would be intentional with every amount that I mentioned on the phone that I would be paying. And when it got to the time where I was paying now the student debt, where I was paying more, I again got on a phone call with them and say I would be paying now this X amount until this debt has gone completely down. Something that did happen drastically also with my salary, I ended up moving to China. So when I moved to China, now my salary is for the first 2 years was between 55,000 US dollars. So with exchange rate, I did slightly have now a slightly larger salary than the 40,000 I was making working in Canada. So that did help me. And of course, budgeting is very important. I was not very familiar with budgeting, but again, talking about it with somebody that was already budgeting in my family, and they say, hey, like, this is what my budget sheet looks like, try it and see what works for you. But now we're in an age where you can actually generate a budget sheet from AI, from ChatGPT or any other DeepSeek and other AIs that are out there, that you just input what you want your spreadsheet to have, and that's about it. So I think if you're really serious about wanting to get out of the debt that you have, try to go on YouTube and just type it in, Dave Ramsey snowball effect, or the baby steps, and really just listen to it and see what advice or what calls Dave Ramsey is receiving on crazy debt that people have, and they end up paying off. And I think that motivated me even more, hearing people that have millions of debts or thousands of debts, and they followed precisely his steps and ended up getting out of debt. And I never thought I would get out of debt, but I did. So I did that from 2000. When I moved to China, it was 2014. From 2015, I fully decided I am going to do this. I'm going to get out of debt. 2015, 2016, 2017, up to 2018, I was just paying and paying as much as I can. I think I could have probably gotten out of debt even sooner had I been more consistently not traveling. But I was traveling. I was doing a bit of cruises here, traveling with friends here. So that did delay how quickly I ended up getting out of debt. But aside that, if I can do it with like a $51,000 debt, I'm very positive anyone can do it. It's just being self-disciplined and being very intentional when you're budgeting your money, your salary monthly, being very intentional. Where do you want your money to go? And I did feel a type of way, because it's okay. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay. Whatever emotions you get in this process, it's okay. But try to remain true to your goal and what you envision for yourself. So I'll just leave everything to here for now, and I'll discuss also how I ended up using, because it makes no sense at the time where I was saving money, I ended up using what I also had in saving and dumped it on one of my larger debt, and it was about like 10k that I'd put on the side, because in my mind it makes no sense if I have 1 foot forward and 1 foot back. I feel like I wasn't really making any progress. I wasn't really saving when at the back of my head I knew I was in debt. So very clear, you don't need to save money if you're in debt. I think that was the lesson that I learned out of this. And once I got out of debt, then I clearly then moved into Dave Ramsey's next step of what does saving looks like and what does investing look like. So in the next video, I'll talk about why I saved and what the purpose was for saving. And then from saving, the amount that I ended up having, and how I moved into investing what I had in saving. All right, so if you can do it, go for it. And I'm cheering on you, honestly. If you don't have anybody cheering for you, I'm cheering for you. You can do it. Anyone honestly can get out of debt. There's so many resources out there, right? Dave Ramsey. You can also find him on podcasts and listen to his podcast where he's receiving calls. I don't know, I just like his style. He's very direct with when he's having conversations with people, so I really like that. And I'm a very direct person, so I do quite enjoy hearing and listening. To this day, I still will play it on YouTube at home or at the gym. I'll still listen to the podcast of people calling in and talking about the amount of debt that they have accumulated. All right, for now, I'm just going to say bye, see you, and good luck.